Good evening, and thanks for coming back to the Black Report with Chad and Clay. I'm Clay.
I'm Chad.
All right. Now that we've got that
Fast
established.
Week. Yeah, right. Who are you again? No.
We were
That's
trying
been
to
a fast
figure this
week.
out, and we were both stumped. So,
I think we got it now. I hope
Yeah.
so.
yeah.
You know how that gets. I mean, you get
Getting up there
you
in
get different
age.
things. Exactly. You get trying for how you do this and how you do that, but you all get it in the end. But well, June is over already. I cannot believe it. It is July already. The summer
Going by
is
too fast,
upon us.
I swear.
Yeah, it really is. That is for sure. I don't think I like that. But what are you going to do? You know?
No. Yeah, we can't do nothing about it.
No. It's
Time
faster.
waits for no man. Isn't that
Exactly. Exactly. And I want to, I didn't give you the proper credit last week when we was on the fact that you were the kind of the artist with all the effects we have and the backgrounds and the cool intro video. I want to thank you for that. It's awesome.
Oh,
So I want to give you the kudos to that. So
Thank you.
yeah, got to give credit where it's due.
It is enjoyable, so don't mind at all.
Yeah, there you go. That's all right. So
Yeah. One of the first things I started doing with making videos was I had Riverside. And Riverside for me this was a couple years ago, it was real quirky. There was a lot of bugs, and it was we were always having to solve some sort of problem. And I started I would do research and go on YouTube and try to figure things out. I joined a Facebook group for Riverside, and as soon as I figured out how to like a workaround for something or how to fix something, I would make a video about it and post it on the Facebook group.
right.
And everybody just loved they just loved it. They were like, "Oh, this is thank you," and that made me feel good. And I didn't get nothing out of it other than just was happy that I was able to help someone. So
Right. Yeah, and you enjoyed it. So
yeah.
well,
it's
King
fun.
Paco, welcome aboard tonight. Appreciate you
Oh,
coming
hey,
on.
what's up, Paco? Yeah, me and Paco was on that podcast last night with me. It was long. It was a very, very long. So the first one was supposed to be an hour, and we ended up going a little over. And then he asked if I'd stick around for another show that he does, and I said, "Oh, okay." There was 9 of us on here.
Oh, wow.
Like this, he uses Ecamm.
Okay.
And he's really good at it. Like, he can move stuff around, and he's doing it on the fly, like as we're doing it.
Yeah,
And
that's
I was
cool.
I was amazed.
Maybe conduct us at least me for sure a training class on how to use some of this stuff.
Yeah, well, Ecamm is different. If you don't have a Mac, you can't use Ecamm.
Oh, that's right.
Not that I know of. Not right now. It's
You're right. I remember hearing that now. Yeah.
It's not web based. It's baked in. You download it, and it's in your computer. And it's really cool. It's really modular, but it was neat. It was fun. It was a lot of stuff to learn. That's what it was about. As a matter of fact, it's called Learner to Learner. So if anybody wants to check that out, it's geared towards a lot of things, but it's geared towards the Roadcaster interface, kind of teaching people how to, and it's really just a big chat group, where instead of just being on Facebook doing it, you can see each other and hear each other.
Oh, okay.
Talk about stuff. So Paco was there. Didn't get to say a whole lot. There was a lot of talking going on, but I still enjoyed it. There was still a lot of information to learn, so that was cool.
Right. What did you have? Like for did you have like a content? What was it about? Did you have anything you was talking about specifically? Or
specifically, there's a new they're updated. Well, they updated or updating in the beta version of the software for the Roadcaster Pro 2. Well, all the Roadcasters, the Duo. It's something called Call Me, and you can do like Roadcaster to Roadcaster calls, and you get people, like you can have like a call in, but like you get just their audio, not their video.
Okay.
So, but it's still kind of neat. But it's still in beta, so it's only people that have downloaded the beta version of the software that get to use it. But
I see.
Yep. We talked about a lot of stuff. So, but anyway, tonight we're going to talk about Travis Walton.
Yes.
So I'm sure
Oh,
a
here
lot
we
of
go.
people have heard the Travis Walton story. And
I didn't mean to interrupt real quick. He said I was forced to purchase the Rode, the interface. Okay.
the Rode, the interface.
Probably the the interface for Rode, I'm sure. Like yeah.
Yep. So anyway,
Yeah, it's an interesting tale, but for sure that is what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Any story that ends up like really making the news and they make a movie out of it, it obviously was a very impactful event.
Right. It was very interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the little quick video that kind of give you a background of. I'm sure you've heard of it. If not, you will hear it. It'll explain a little bit. Kind of, we'll go to just a real quick synopsis of it, and then we'll get into the more details. But we're going to go ahead and play the clip here that, again, that you got put together for us, which was very nice. So I really appreciate that.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Bean footage. Let's do it.
In 1975, logger Travis Walton disappeared for 5 days in Arizona's Apache Sitgreaves Forest. He and his coworkers had spotted a glowing UFO. When Travis approached it, a beam of light struck him and he vanished. A massive manhunt had begun. Then he reappeared, disoriented, and claiming he'd been taken aboard an alien craft and examined by small gray beings. His story inspired a book and the film Fire in the Sky. Supporters will point toward multiple eyewitnesses and polygraphs. Skeptics will argue it was all a hoax. But decades later, the Travis Walton case remains one of the most debated abduction stories in UFO history. Cool.
All right. That's
so. There's it.
Over
That's
here.
A little summary.
Exactly. It's definitely interesting. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you know, yeah, like King says, but I like that. Did you see what he says?
Yeah, the government don't play around.
I tell you, but have to kill you. If the government trusts me, so should you. And that's how it goes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, crazy. I mean, I've got some talking points pulled up for it. I have not actually seen the movie.
Oh, right.
Fire in the Sky.
I remember watching that when I was a youngster.
Yeah. Well, I don't know when the movie came out, but the event took place as you saw in the video, in 1975.
Right.
They were loggers. They were ending their day and like kind of wrapping things up and getting ready to head home. And just out of the blue on because they're out in the woods.
Yeah.
On a dirt road. And they see something in the, it night had fallen by the time they were leaving, and they see this glow in the trees, and they went to inspect it, and one of them didn't come back.
Yeah, can you imagine that? You know, going to work with some friends, and then all of a sudden one does, like you said, one doesn't come back, and it's like, how do you explain it? You know,
and he was like 22 years old. So
yeah, they were all pretty young. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
The movie came out in '93, so it was about almost 20 years later. Like I said, I remember seeing it had some pretty good names, actors in it. Let me run these names by you here. Of course, even Travis Walton made an appearance in there, a guest appearance. Had D.B. Sweeney in there, Peter Bohr, Robert Patrick. You remember him from the Terminator 2? Also played in the X. Also played in the X Files.
The cop.
Yeah, exactly. And then James Garner was in it.
Oh wow!
And then Henry Thomas was another one that was in it. Those are probably the most famous ones that people remember who was in the show. So, but yeah, I thought it was pretty well done. I mean, I think they tried to follow the story as best as they could.
So it said that they had all taken, like afterwards, they had all taken polygraphs, and it says most of them passed.
Now, I don't think Travis took one. Did he take one too? I thought he opted not to.
He may have. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, why? Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, people say, well, they're not a court and all that. But,
why would you say no? I don't know. I feel like if that happened to me, I would, I'll do whatever you want.
I'd say bring it on, I'll test anytime, anywhere. I mean, that's just a lot of things too. I think that,
So they thought he had gotten murdered, but
Yeah,
then he shows back up 5 days later.
Yeah, there's some things we'll get into, like some counter sides to how, people don't think it's real or whatever like that. But, I don't know. I mean, it's we weren't there. We don't know. But
no, and that kind of leads back to what we were talking about last week is if I don't see it happen or,
right.
smell it or taste it or touch it, I can't say that it does or does not exist.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't. So
I justify. I can express my belief, but that's just my belief. It's not, it's not facts.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I guess he mentioned walking up on a table, and it was surrounded by these small gray beings.
Yeah, it's pretty wild in the movie. It kind of portrays some of his things that he was.
I want to watch it, but I got to rent it. It's old, man. Yeah. How come we still got to rent that?
Right.
On all these streaming platforms that we have, I still got to rent it.
I can pull it up on the Fire Stick. I'm gonna have to watch that again myself because that's been a while since I've seen it. I wouldn't mind catching me in.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you go back and rewatch a movie, you might miss some things you when you watch the first time. I remember seeing that. I didn't catch that, when you watch it again. So,
and I've got to say, if this really happened, it's the best result. The best outcome happened. He got to come back home.
Right. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's still with us, He's still on it. Yeah. He's still on it. So, yeah.
What does it say? Walton wrote the Walton Experience. Oh, so he wrote a book.
Yeah.
And then that's what inspired the 1993 film.
What I say? There's always a book.
Yeah. Yeah. Movie took creative liberties. Travis has said the real experience was different. Well, yeah, I can imagine. I mean, like I said, do I believe or not?
I don't know.
I don't know. Hasn't happened to me.
I just want. Yeah. Here's This is Travis. Hold on. Yep. Let me do this here. Yeah, there's Travis back in 1975 as a youngster. So that's what he looked like back in the.
And he's got his chainsaw there, and
yeah, that's probably pretty close to about the time when all this happened.
Right? Because he was doing the logging.
Let me just play a quick. Let me play his words. Just play a little clip of an interview he was in, and this was his words about explaining the craft and what he saw out there in the woods. So we'll just play that.
Yeah,
so
go
what
for
did
it.
the craft itself look like?
It was classic disc-shaped craft. The whole clearing was lit up with this weird glow.
Did it have a color to it?
It was kind of a golden color. It wasn't like beams of light shooting out. It was just this haze of light. It started to move and started to get louder. There was a low thunderous kind of a rumble, and then there were other high-pitched frequencies. That was when the energy discharge happened.
So
that's kind of interesting,
Yeah, where'd you get that from?
I was doing some researching before I came on. Did some researching earlier today. Wanted to cut some clips and stuff, so we have make it a little more. I like to see how I hear things in their own words. That way, I don't twist what they said.
Right. Yeah.
But that's interesting. I think because. I mean, I don't know. What are you going to do? I mean,
so there's something in here that says that a lot of the skeptics were claiming that it was a possible way to get out of a failed logging contract.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what some of the things. Oh, I like this pretty comment right here. I've actually been to Area 51, of course, not behind the lines, but I've actually been up to the gates and stuff. It's pretty neat out there.
You can go to the gates, but that's it.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list. We went out there, and it was pretty neat to see. The camo dudes are real. They were there. They were on the cliff watching this and everything. Because about that time, it was funny because it was actually I actually went to Vegas on our honeymoon, and I thought, I'm going to go see Area 51. That's how understanding she was at the time. Hey, I'll let him go out there. So we went out there, and I was on the police department at that time because we had a rental car. And I remember we pulled up close as we get to the gate, And I got out and I didn't even see the camo dude. He had, back then they were driving the white Jeeps, like the Jeep Comanches or whatever they were called,
Yeah.
Cherokees. They were up there on the top of the hill looking down, and they drove down the hill and then come around on the just on the other side of the fence and stood there and faced us. You know, I was young. I was what, 26 or something. I thought, well, I'll see what happens here. So I pull out my badge and ID, and so I know I got binoculars. I can see the reading. So they'll show my badge. Maybe they'll give me a little bit of credibility to let me in. Heck no, they just sat there and didn't say a word. I put my badge away.
Where were they at?
Right on, just on the other side of the line, just on the other side of the signs.
Okay,
there.
so they were within hearing distance.
Yeah, when I went, now there's a like yellow gate, or it's like a metal yellow gate that blocks the entrance now. But back then it was just wide open. All you had was two signs on each side of the road, and don't go past those signs. Well, we were of course on the good side, and then the public side, and then they were just pull around just on the other side of me. And I know because in Vegas, I think the rental car had front license plates too, and back ones, because some states make you have two on your vehicle.
It's weird that they didn't have a gate like.
No, they do not have a gate on the front, on that main gate that's on Groom Lake Road, but they do now. But it's just a
But I'm
yellow
saying
one.
back then, it's weird that they didn't have one. Like
no.
gates had been around for a long time. Why wouldn't they put up a gate if they don't want somebody out?
Yep.
It's almost like they're challenging you. Yeah.
The back gate by Rachel, it has a gate. It had a gate then. It's always had a gate.
Yeah.
And that's kind of more the more interesting gate anyway, because you can see the guard shack and all that stuff. There's stuff there. Where then it's just signs, there's nothing there, because the base is like another several miles past them signs. It ain't like it's just right around the corner. It's several miles away. I mean, it's still a long way off.
Yeah. So there's like a couple of lingering questions for this Travis Walton story, and like we've kind of touched base on a little bit of it. Why has no hard physical evidence ever surfaced? So that is a good skeptical question,
Exactly.
Like, what were we talking about last week? Evidence.
Yeah.
Gotta have
evidence based,
If you want to make people believe something, you need to show proof.
Yeah, I mean, it validates your story. I mean,
this guy paid me $50. Oh, did he really? Yeah, here's the 50. I mean, there.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
And then it said, why would 6 witnesses stick to the same story for decades if it was fake?
Right. I mean, because you don't really hear anything about them nowadays. It's all about him. It's like, so he's getting all the, if you want to call it the media. Yeah, he's getting all the publicity and things like that, and they're not really getting anything. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of questions out there. Hey, did this happen or did it not happen? It's exactly right. I mean, it's, there's neat things that go to it happening, and then there's also some good points to where, I don't know, it's a little bit sketchy, Yeah. You got any other questions there that was on that?
So it said, could government knowledge of UFOs and UAP hearings retroactively lend credibility to the story? Do you think?
I don't know. It could. I mean, look at Roswell. I mean, that was 1947.
Yeah.
In 1947, and nothing's really come concrete on that either. As far as proving that it was real.
As far as like, I don't know if you've heard of it. Was it called the Blue Report or something?
Project Blue Book.
Yeah. So ever since all that started coming out, they things that we had questions on and things that we were doubting now seem a little more valid. But if you notice, there's still nothing that's been released that would give us solid concrete proof.
Right.
Just a bunch of hype, just a bunch of hearsay, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, unless there's stuff that we just don't know about and nobody's told us or whatever. But
yeah, King Paco says our president hiding evidence. Area 51 has all the evidence. The president has everything there. Well, didn't he say something like we couldn't handle the truth or something like that not too long ago? About whether or not the aliens are here.
A few good men. You can't handle.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's probably where he got it from. But I don't know. I think.
Well, have you ever seen the movie Interstellar?
I did, and I don't understand that movie. At the end, I was like totally lost. I go, "What is this? What happened?" The ending, I was like, "What just happened here?" I didn't
So
understand the ending. I was
all.
confused.
It's all interdimensional.
Okay,
Is what that
so,
was.
yeah. So you got to explain to me. I guess that ruins the movie.
Towards
for
the
me.
end of the movie, yeah, when you're talking about the part where he was outside,
like in water, and it looked like all these TVs or something are all on the sides, all around,
Yeah,
surrounded by him. Like,
what
what's
he
going on
was
here?
he was
I
in
lost.
between realities and he was
Okay.
stuck. But the reason he was there was because they had figured out his, just humans, but in
Right.
the future had figured out how to somewhat navigate between dimensions.
Mm.
And that's how they got him. That's how they like saved him, recovered him. Was through that. Yeah, they had figured out how to do some stuff because so when he woke up and he was in that hospital bed, and he looks outside, and you see those kids playing ball, and the kid hits the ball and the ball goes straight up in the air and goes into somebody's window. Do you remember that?
No, I have to go back and watch it again. Yeah, because I was lost. I'll be honest with you. I was like,
so the point is like when he looks out the window, he's looking and everything's like this.
Okay.
Like everything's just like this big circular, and he's looking around and he sees grass going up and he sees houses up there, and he couldn't figure out what he was seeing. Like what was he? So back up in the beginning, not the beginning, but like towards the beginning of the movie when him and his daughter stumbled across that fence and they ended up, there was some like soldiers or officers that they ended up bringing them into a building. And it was NASA. That building that they were in was a space station. It was a space station that was underground, and they were waiting for technology to get to the point where they could get it up off the ground and launch it into space. And that's where they were going to put everybody on to save them from a dying planet.
Okay.
So when they rescued him and he woke up in the hospital bed, that hospital was in that space station. They had finally figured out how to launch it and get it up, and yeah.
Maybe I do need to go. Man, I thought I got 2 movies I gotta go rewatch. That and Fire in the Sky.
The point of me bringing up that movie was there's a part where one of the robots that they those TARS and now I can't say the name of the other one, but they were those big square blocky looking robots. One of them had parameters. He was like he talked to all the crew members like he sounded like a human.
Right.
And Cooper, which was Matthew McConaughey's character, he asked him, he said, "Tars, what's your honesty setting?" And Tars said, 90%, sir. And he says, "Why is it 90%, Tars? Why is it not 100?" And he says, "Well, because most people can't handle 100% of the truth." And I was going to what you said.
Oh,
about
okay, I
you
got
can't
you.
handle
Yeah,
the truth. It's true. Most people cannot handle.
yeah. There might
the
be some
whole
truth
truth.
in that. Yeah.
They don't want to know exactly everything.
Yeah.
Because
So
it would
just to
scare
kind of,
them.
just kind of get back to the Walton incident. Like I said,
Yeah,
it did, this happened. Oh, it's all right. Hey, we get on tangents. That happens sometimes. You get talking about it. Like
Yeah.
I said, this happened back on November 5th of 1975 in the Sitgreaves, I think it's how you say it, National Forest, which was on
Sitgreaves or Sitgreaves, yeah.
Sitgreaves, yeah, because I guess there's no E in it, in Arizona. And like I said, him and his brother-in-law, Mike Rogers, was, I guess he was like the head honcho of this contracting team, the loggers that were in charge of clearing this forest or whatever.
He
and
was
stuff.
the boss, yep.
Yeah. And a lot of skeptics will point out the fact, like you said, I think you kind of touched on it earlier, where it said like they have fallen behind schedule on getting this project completed. And they thought, well,
we need
maybe maybe we need something to get out of it to say, okay, we'll give you more time, or we understand. And they say now that the night before, actually, that they had watched this movie called the UFO Incident, which was about the abduction of Barney and Betty Hill. They watched that, and then so they thought, maybe it's gonna be make like an act of God, and let's just make up this crazy story. Which I don't know. I think I would have come up maybe a better story than that. But
well, what do you come up with?
Yeah, I don't know if he's
You know,
behind the
somebody going
thing.
and
Just-
hiding out for 5 days is probably
Yeah, I mean,
a
it's-
lot easier to.
that's really getting into your story. That's really trying to make it believable. But that's probably like the biggest thing. And also they said too, like back then when they were talking to the mother, she actually called off the search. She said, well, I'm sure he'll show up. She didn't seem too concerned at the time. And she said, had like a real calm to her, you know, when they was talking to authorities and stuff. So, I mean, you know, that kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of gives you a little bit of,
that looks a little
you know,
sus.
it does. I mean, normally the parent would be like, you know, freaking out. It's like, hey, where's
Yeah,
my
like,
son?
no.
You know? Yeah. So I don't know. I thought those points were pretty, you know, like I said, when they're, of course, I don't think they've come out and admitted that they did watch that show the night before, but I don't know how they came about, who came about that little tidbit of information, but it, you know, it just leaves more doubt. If, you know, if I could say better word, like a better term,
Yeah.
just leaves more doubt. You know?
Well, I mean, just the fact that there is no hard physical evidence.
Mhm.
The mom saying, you know, he'll be fine.
Right.
How do you
Yeah,
know?
it's-
Your son's missing.
Right. Exactly. So
You know, there's a couple things right there. Forget the fact that some of them didn't pass the polygraph and some did.
right.
There's just simple little things right there, and I'm not trying to discredit it. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. No, we're here just to present evidence on both sides and let
Yeah.
you come up with your own decision. Like that's
Definitely.
that's what we said at the beginning of when before we started this whole podcast is, hey, we're just here to present evidence on both sides because there's always two sides, and you said sometimes three sides to each story, you know. So
Right.
that's what we do, you know. I mean, way I feel might be different than what you feel or whatever feels.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, I don't know what does King, you know, does King think about it? What's his take on this
Yeah.
whole thing? Does he believe in the incident or not?
What do you think about it, Paco? I've got some questions, like just to kind
Yeah.
of leave yourself with. So it says, what do you think happened? Was he genuinely abducted? Or do you think it was a hoax and a setup? Do you think he hallucinated it or had like a mental breakdown? Or are you still not sure and you're something strange happened, but you're not sure what?
Well, I don't think it's a hallucination. I don't think it's anything like that. My personal thing, if I had a, you know, if he was in Vegas and making a bed, I mean, my instinct says I kind of don't know. I kind of think it is a hoax. I don't know. I mean, if I had to take a guess,
the whole logging contract
the-
thing, and
because that
We
makes
need to-
sense.
yeah.
Because it's a motive. You know, there's a reason for doing it.
yeah,
you know,
so it'd be different if that factor
mean,
wasn't at
exactly.
play. Like if
I
there
mean,
was
yeah.
no worry about a contract issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, and then also a lot of times, you know, disinformation is also something that people do too to get your mind
Yeah.
not believing it as well. You know,
And that's another thing. I can't factually say that there was a contract, logging contract issue. So
Yeah,
I don't
I
really
mean-
know that.
I mean, yeah, and did or has anyone? I have to maybe do some really deep research on it. Has anybody ever spoke with? I think the Forest Service, whoever they had that contract with. Did they speak with them and say, yeah, they were behind? I mean, I don't ever remember reading that anywhere. I'm not saying that it's not
Right.
out there somewhere, but did you? I mean, have you ever seen where that?
No,
The
I haven't even
contract-
seen the movie.
No, well, I mean the real thing. I mean,
Yeah,
did
no,
they?
yeah.
Has anyone ever talked to the company that they had the contract with, or whoever it was? I think it was the Forestry Service. I think they had it with. What was their take on it? You know, did they, or
Right.
maybe they're the ones that were maybe brought that information out. But I think the brothers did admit that they were behind schedule too at one point. But I don't know. It just, you know, there's, like I said, you know, what is it? A 75? Oh my God, that's been a long time ago now. Just
Been a
all these
long
questions.
time.
Yeah. So these questions, they're just,
50
you
years.
know, it's like a cold case. Yeah. That's scary, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
It's kind of like a cold case now because I mean it's happened so long ago, you know. But
yeah.
But-
I was let's say November. I was a little over a year old when that happened.
yeah, But
So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's fun to talk about. It's interesting. I mean, he's pretty adamant in the story. It doesn't really change, like
yeah.
he
And
doesn't,
then,
a lot of details don't change. It's like he doesn't say, well, I saw a ship that was, 15 feet wide. And then, 2 years later, well, I saw a ship and it was 50 feet wide. It's not like that. The facts don't really
everything
drastically
stayed
change.
consistent.
Exactly. If stories, they're okay. Now, what did I say in that interview about such and such? You know what I mean? That's where, makes it a little believable too,
Right.
because the facts aren't changing or getting,
You'd think after all this time that somebody would have gotten tired of lying or slipped
yeah,
up a little, or said, I gotta clear my conscience. I want to come clean on this.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe when somebody gets on their deathbed and say, I need to come clean about something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
It's
he's
really, I got to get this off my shoulder, man.
yeah,
But I think they're all getting pretty close to that because they were in their 20s. That
yeah.
means
They're
in their
probably getting up there
70s.
in age. Yeah, they're probably getting up there in
We
age.
may have already lost a couple. So,
Yeah, exactly. So, it's
yeah.
it's an interesting though. I mean, because out there in the forest, I mean, nobody was around. There's just them. I mean, it happened like you said towards the evening or almost night.
I mean,
So
see that right there
did it?
too
I mean,
makes me wonder. Like, so let's say hypothetically there was a contract issue,
mhm.
and they said, okay, well we're gonna go out in the forest, in the mountains by ourselves, so nobody sees us, and we're gonna make this happen.
Yeah,
Because, but even still, 6 people. That's a really
mhm.
tough. That's a really tough call to get 6 people to stay consistent with the
Right.
same thing for the rest of their lives.
But like we were saying, but like yeah, they were out in the middle of nowhere doing this. It's, can you imagine trying to make up something like this, like at a downtown New York or something, where there's like
That would
hundreds
be
of people walking
impossible.
around?
Yeah, there'd be too many
Exactly.
witnesses. There's none.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They'd be like, I was there. I didn't see nothing. There was nothing going on. I was eating dinner right there in the, what I mean?
I was
So,
driving a cab at that time.
I mean, so actually being in a isolated forest can go both ways, okay, yeah, they did. Nobody was around. Nobody can say it didn't happen,
right.
but then nobody can say it didn't happen, so.
Yeah. Well, that's just like a situation I was in last year. Yeah, last year. Something had happened, and we were looking for video footage of it, and there was none. So, and it was in a place where normally you would think there would be a bunch of security
Right.
cameras and video footage, and there was none. There was none
Yeah.
to show what took place, and I'm like, that's great,
Yeah.
But you can't prove. Neither side has any way to justifiably prove anything happened.
No, I know they don't. That's just it. So we present both sides, and you just going to feel stronger towards one way or another. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, in this situation, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. How you
No.
feel about it. It's just what you feel, in your heart, what you believe. But
Yeah.
there is no answer. But like I said, back then, like there is today, there's no cell phones. There's none of that stuff. Nobody's
No.
got a camera all the time, and there's less people around, obviously, at that time even, and
That's like all
around
the
now, yeah,
things we did when we were kids. There's no proof that we did or did not.
that's probably a
do
good thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's probably a good thing some of those cell phones weren't around.
I can tell
But,
you what I want to know, or what I would
Mhm.
like to see is I would like to see proof that this actually did happen. That's
Yeah.
what I want.
What but what kind of evidence would show up this late in the in
I
something
don't
like
know.
this?
I'm just basically getting back to why we do this channel is
Yeah.
we want to see
mean,
something. We want to know that
right.
something's real. Like,
Would it be an unknown witness come out and say, "Hey, look, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't think people think I was wacky, but I happened to be hiking through the area and I did see something." I mean, I'm kind of, if that happened to me,
I
I mean,
that
I don't
would-
know. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
that
that could
wouldn't
be
be
a
enough to
possibility.
convince me.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying, it's to be more,
Yeah,
little feather in the cap to being believable.
to testifying of. No,
Yeah.
it would have to be some sort of. There's only one way to do it, and it's impossible, and it would be to have some sort of pictures or video proof That's
Mhm.
it. Or they find a being, or a part of the aircraft. You know, the not aircraft,
Right.
but the alien craft, the UAP. If they found something, that's the only way they'd be able to prove that story. Going
Yeah.
forward, other sightings would have to just be caught on camera,
Yeah, pretty much.
validified. You know,
Now, what would he have some like a would have? I mean, would he have like a? Of course, he probably I'm sure has been checked out. Would he have like an implant or something that that people, doctors or scientists can't figure out what this thing is? Maybe he has something like that was in his body. That would be something like it'd make you wonder too. Like
yeah,
what is
no, that
this
would
thing?
definitely make you wonder.
Yeah,
No,
what is this thing here?
But again, with stuff like that, see, this is where my skepticism comes in.
All right.
Even with stuff like that, I would be like, well, anybody could have made this fake thing that they found on him. Go to a print shop, or not a print shop, but a place that makes molds and can make
3D printing.
3D printing or cast and dyes of metals. Anybody can make a little thing and go, yeah, like, check this out. This was a locator device that we found on him. Actually,
Right.
it's a Tylenol.
Yeah, right.
It's a migraine extreme
Yeah,
Tylenol. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think of stuff that you would, like you said, you want to see evidence of something like that. But man, it's it's just been so long ago now. Like you said,
Yeah, for that incident, there's nothing.
there's not much really you can do on that that point in time. Like this happened like a month or a couple months ago or a year even. I mean, yeah, a lot of stuff could come out yet, because people
And
be all over it.
What's tough now too is going forward, incidents like this that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Cameras are even losing their credibility.
With AI, you mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of that stuff's getting out of hand.
Photo and video is losing its credibility because there is some really good AI now. And it's not even as good as it's going to get. Like, it's going to get better.
Yeah, and it's kind of somewhat scary good now. It's like, wow, it looks pretty darn good. But
yeah, I was looking into some stuff, and you can make real human-like avatars for yourself for some of these video creators.
Yeah.
So
I do know, like I think there's software that like can look at a photo, no matter if it's taken on a phone or a camera, and it could tell if it's been altered to AI right off the bat. I mean, I know they can do that. So I mean that's one thing that could be a saving grace in that. But yeah, but like you said, yeah, can you believe everything you see now? Like you said, it's
going to
just
get harder
so
and
darn,
harder.
Yeah, some of the stuff looks so darn real,
Yeah.
But they say, look at the hands. I guess they say AI can't do hands and fingers real well. I don't know how true that is.
Better though. No, that was very true.
Okay, I didn't know. But I never really messed with that kind of stuff.
It's still somewhat true. There's models out there now that are just. It's called machine learning for a reason, and over time, they're just going to keep learning how to do things more correctly.
Right. Okay.
It was like overnight. I use ChatGPT, and I would ask it. It seemed like just not too long ago, I would ask it for a picture. Like, say I wanted to make a logo for one of my channels.
Yeah,
and I would put in the information, and it would come out all. I'd get a picture, but like the words were awful. They weren't spelled right. They were repeating letters. It was like that was like 3-4 weeks ago. And within the last 2 to 3 weeks, it's perfect.
It's all gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all perfect now. When I ask it to make me like our little slide tonight, all those pictures are all AI, and they look cartoony, hand drawn, but they're good. They're pretty good,
right?
The words, the text on the screen, all generated by that. I didn't put none of that on there.
Yeah,
So that just makes this hunt for the answers to some of these, UFO questions really, really hard to prove. Now it's almost like we need to see it sitting in the Walmart parking lot, and we can all come take a look and watch it take off. Yeah,
you darn well need a lot of witnesses to witness something like an event, and a lot of different cameras, a lot of different angles, to make it okay. Yeah, this really happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I think it might get to that point, and then that wouldn't be hard to do, like I said, because everybody's got a cell phone. Just take it out and take a picture of it. There's always somebody's got something. To, like you said, there's security cameras everywhere anymore. you know, traffic cams that catch, you know, traffic cams can catch things, you know, things like that. So it's interesting. I don't know. It's where it's all going to go or how good it's going to get, but
there it is. Yeah. Yeah.
What was it? Skynet and Terminator.
Yeah. Yeah. Skynet. Yeah.
Exactly.
Was that in, what was in Total Recall? Was that Skynet or was
No, Skynet was Terminator.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd they call it? There was something. I thought there was something in Total Recall too.
There probably was. I don't remember. Yeah, I think there was because the one that made it.
You know who Skynet is? It's Amazon.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, them or Google. They think they're going to own the world.
Yeah.
You know, between the two of them, but yeah, it's like I said, it's an interesting thing. Like I said, that's what we wanted to do tonight. Just kind of get it out there, discuss a little bit amongst us because we've never really discussed that between us, you know, before until now, and give facts for the good, give facts for the bad, and tell exactly what happened. But yeah, but if you have not seen that show, I definitely recommend going out and you know, finding that copy.
I am probably going to rent it tonight and watch it because now I just want to see it.
Yeah, it was well done. I mean, it was very well done. I mean,
still
it's like
interesting. Still something.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Cause I remember James Garner was like the sheriff, whatever, and he was good in that. You know, I think at least in the show, it made it look like he wasn't believing a word of it.
Yeah,
you know, and he was trying to get him to, you know, say, hey, look, you know, this isn't real. Come on and confess. But you know, that kind of thing. Which
so
know,
he plays that.
He's
a sheriff or whatever.
Yes, yeah, the one that was investigating the most
so
of the
I watched
stuff. He was gone for 5 days, like I said. Then I guess he just reappeared and he called. I think it was his girlfriend at the time. You know, hey, I'm back or whatever. So you know,
yeah,
and they portray that in the movie as well, which is pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting too.
I'm trying to remember what network it was, but I watched a documentary last night about it just to kind of like help you know.
Right, jog the memory.
Yeah. So I watched that, and this had the loggers, the actual guys, where they interviewed them. And
what's the comment you remember hearing they were making? Do you remember?
Just so watching them, I ended up falling asleep probably 3/4 of the way through it. Half
right,
to 3/4.
That happens.
But watching them being questioned and talked to, you did not see in their faces or their mannerisms or the tone of their voice, you did not see 1 ounce of nervousness. It looked convincing. Like and they were all old guys. So I don't know when this documentary was made, but it had to have been made within the last 5 to 10 years. And they still stick to their word. They're not budging at all. And they're, like I said, they didn't break. You know what I mean? They didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about with a military or a police background. When you're questioning somebody, you can kind of tell when they're lying.
A lack of eye contact is one.
There's a lot of mannerisms that change.
A lot of fidgeting.
Yep.
You know, like I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I wasn't there. I mean, I didn't see nothing. You know this kind of stuff. But there is a lot of that stuff going on in that. Yeah. They really do that. And that led me to the point that the other thing I read somewhere too. There was like a tower in there, probably like a fire tower. I'm assuming they got a lot of force have those fire towers to look for fire. There was a light on there, and they were using that to kind of recreate the incident. So I mean, who knows? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's another thing I just remember when
the movie.
No, I don't think that was not in the movie. No, that was something that was I've read online as well. No, the movie took it as 100% fact. It didn't. Okay. It took it as an actual event.
They didn't show a skeptical view then.
No. The only ones that you saw the people on the show, of course, they're saying I don't believe it, or they could tell like James Garner was not believe he was a sheriff. That you could see the angle that they were doing, but it was you didn't see any evidence going to the contrary. Like you didn't see okay, let's use this light. And, if they mentioned the light in the movie, I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen that show.
Watching those guys talk on that documentary, totally had me thinking, all right, well, this really happened. Like, just seeing, like I said, seeing the mannerisms, seeing that they weren't fidgety, they weren't nervous, they weren't
right.
Nothing. They were just solid. And these were like, they're all old guys.
Yeah.
You know, probably 20 years on me, easily 15 to 20 years on me.
Well, if they were, like you said, probably 20s and, you know, back in the 1970s, yeah, they're quite a few years older than us. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah. It's, I'm sure there's probably something I'm forgetting on, you know, both sides of the story, what, you know, like things that go against it, things that go for it. But, you know, I mean, other than that contract, I mean, why would anybody have a reason, you know, I guess to lie about something like that? I mean, was there some kind of, there were some other things going on that we didn't know about that never became public, or
if that's not,
I mean,
if the whole contract thing's not true, then yeah, why would you go to this great of lengths?
Financial gain, monetary, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much they made off of this, you know, with the, I mean, like you always say, there's always a book, you know, we joke about that, you know, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You know, just the way I am, I could not consciously live with myself or go to sleep at night if I made up a story and started making books and writing and telling stories, because you're lying the whole time. I wouldn't feel comfortable in that. I wouldn't do it.
No, eventually I'd break character and be
you'd have, I think it'd drive you mad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would, you know, because you know, this thing I always lived by, you know, when I was younger, I always heard this saying. I really like it. You know, if you always tell the truth, you never have to remember what you say.
Yeah.
Because if you start lying, then you can remember, okay, now what did I say? Now you got to make this lie to cover that lie to cover this lie. And I say, now remember, now what did I say to him 2 months ago? You know what I mean? And it's horrible.
Yeah, no, it just becomes a shit show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just got to keep reading. Okay, you got to write down. Okay, I told him such time it was 5. Okay, that's when this something. You know. So I mean,
a story like this, you'd end up with a library of notes.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people. I mean, he seemed like a pretty decent guy. I listened to interviews. He seemed like a real, you know, really decent guy. I mean, I don't, you know, but you'd have to literally be just living a lie all your life, and I don't know. I don't know how anybody could do that, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. That would
be tough.
Be a very, very big feat.
Yeah, it would be bad. I mean, just, just living with yourself and, you know, friends and family, you know, because, I mean, do they know, you know, hey, this really happened? Is he hiding this? I mean, you know, there's going to be a lot of questions that'll never be answered. We'll never get the definitive thing. So, but it is it's one of the most, probably one of the most popular abducted cases there is.
Oh, I mean, it is. It's like, you know, still
between that and Barney and Betty Hill was another big one. You know, that when the two that were driving down the road were I think that was like the first known case of abduction.
I remember it, but I can't say.
There's a couple driving down the road late at night, and they had nobody was abducted. I don't feel like. I think they just had a ship over the car and everything. I don't know. Maybe they were abducted. I don't. I have to delve in that story a little bit more myself, but. I think that was the first known one, and then, you know, that was, I think that was in the 60s. It was even old. It was even way back before the Travis Walton incident. So that goes back pretty good.
See, something I just thought of, like with some of these, or a lot of them, when it comes to like the, you know, abductions or sightings, especially when it comes to abductions, there's always talk about how everything just kind of froze.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I couldn't move.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was immobile.
I was immobilized. I was this. I was that. Like, you know, cars stopping in mid stroll down the road. You know. Yeah,
losing power, radio go out or something.
So stuff like that makes me lean towards that whole interdimensional thing. Where, have you ever heard where they say a lot of times ghosts or UFOs that we're thinking we're seeing, or aliens,
and a portal or something,
aren't actually here. They're just in between the fabrics of one reality and another. Yeah.
I mean, is that kind of like him in the Matrix, the glitch in the Matrix?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Some of those things are kind of interesting. That's something else we may have to do a future episode on some of these things where they say there's like a glitch in the Matrix. There's some pretty cool videos out there, or things that are just like, what the heck just happened there?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What's that one called? The something effect? I can't remember what the guy's name was.
The butterfly effect we talking about the Ashton Kutcher.
No. Gosh. I can't remember what I'm going to be so mad at myself. I'll think it. I'll text you like at 3 a.m. That's what it was. No, it's like it's like something you could have sworn was real and happened when you was a kid, but you turned out later like, wait a minute, that logo did like the Monopoly Man. Everybody thinks he had a monocle, like Mr. Peanut, but he never did. But you always believed he did. The Mandela effect. That's it.
Oh, Mandela effect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of that's whole kind of reminds me of that, like you were talking about. It's kind of weird,
So the thing, I do remember that.
Yeah, I don't know about what I don't know what Nintendo Switch is. I'm assuming Nintendo Switch is a game.
Oh, Paco, yeah,
yeah,
yep. Not we're not Nintendo Switch guys. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, I don't know, weird stuff. But I like this is why I like talking about it.
It's fascinating. I mean, because you think of something and then somebody will say something. I didn't thought about that, because there's just that's how you learn. Like I said,
so many variables.
Mm-hmm. And just like let you draw your own conclusions. Put this fact on the good side. Okay, they put this fact on the didn't happen side, and just add them up, I guess, or
right.
What you feel, because
yep,
I
do.
There's things out there that you're never going to explain, but like you said, they're fun to talk about because it's good conversation.
Get the mind going, get the thoughts rolling.
Yeah, exactly.
All the what ifs, with the possibilities.
Right. So yeah, you keep. I don't think you can be really too close-minded on the stuff. I mean, I'm not saying go out and believe everything because obviously, know it's that gullible, I hope, but
no, but
you don't want to close your mind. You don't want to close your mind to everything, because there's, not everything's completely black and white, I guess, there's some gray area in there. So,
yep, definitely is. Well, that's all I've got for it, really.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I don't much more we can hash, but it's been fun. I think we covered the majority of it. We gave the facts, whether you want to believe or not, on both sides really well. Well, like I said, like we always do, we'll
believe it or not.
Exactly. Oh yeah, believe it or not. You'd always like have a little pause in there. It's funny you remember that stuff when you're a kid. But again, we're going to leave it in. We like I said, we present both sides, and we're always going to do that with this and let you make up your own mind. Take it what you want. And again, if you guys have anything that you want to hear or learn more about, hit us up in the comment section and say, hey, what about this and stuff? And we'll do our darn best to review it as good as we can and give our views on it, give facts both ways and talk about it,
Let's talk about this, baby.
Well, that goes back a ways too. Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing. But it's been fun. Glad it's been another good one.
Thanks, Paco, for jumping in here and there.
Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate all your insight. It's stuff. It's funny. Area 51 is always Area 51 is always a good take. You said I got my. Yeah, I actually pointed right. There's my map. That's the big overview map of Groom Lake, Area 51, and that's you can't really see here. That's an actual picture. A Area 51 base, but it's just fascinates me. Of course, my favorite planes. You got I can't really point. It's hard to point when you're doing this. My favorite one, you get the Nighthawk. Nighthawk. We'll go this way. SR-71, and that's my. I love the SR-71. That's a cool plane.
Is that a bomber?
SR-71 is a reconnaissance plane with cameras. Actually, the F-117 is kind of a misnomer or whatever. It's not a fighter. It's actually a lightweight bomber because it's designed just to drop bombs. But they call it a stealth fighter. It's kind of contradictory terms, because it's not really real mobile and fast like a jet, like a normal, like a F-16 or 22 or something like that. Then I got my, the Ark of the Covenant back here. I love that baby. But I got my, this is hard. I'll just do that. I'll just do this. Hoping my audio is still kind of decent. Got my UFO, my alien guy, and my favorite warship, War of the Worlds, the original War of the Worlds, not the Tom Cruise knockoff that wasn't that great, but the original back in the colored version, 1950s. That Martian ship, loved that alien ship. Was so cool when it come up out of that meteor thing. That's cool as heck. And then you got the Imperial probe from Star Wars over here. Yeah, that's my alien takes.
Yeah,
my
you with
display
the
case.
planes, I thought you'd love those. Those were acoustic sound panels for like dropping, like lowering your reverb in your room that I sent you.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was like a whole. They went together. They make a big picture of a plane. I was like, chatted like that.
that would be. I did like that. I appreciate sharing it. Might be in the future.
Yeah,
Always looking to revamp things. So, but yeah, I definitely want to get those things. Of course, I got my Area 51 signs behind there. You know, the replicas of what they have at the actual gate. I've actually seen those. I'll have to get some pictures and I'll share them on one of the podcasts we do. We'll do an episode on Area 51. I'm sure probably more than one. And I'll share some of my old photos. We were back there, and that was 96. So it's been a while. It's been a few years since I was there, but
yeah.
Got somebody standing there by the gate and all that good stuff. So, they called the black mailbox originally back in the late 80s, early 90s, but then it was white when we were there. Now the mailbox is completely gone. But people just can't leave stuff alone. They got to tear stuff up, steal it. You know.
Yeah,
I hate that.
That's annoying.
Just, yeah, just leave stuff alone so people can enjoy it. You know.
Yeah.
No fun. So, well, that's all I got. I don't want to keep rambling and all that. But we'll be back again next week with another topic, and hopefully you guys can join us again and share your experiences, give your insights, your opinions, and all that good stuff. And
I feel bad that I didn't think of something that we can do next week that we can announce now. Well,
yeah. We'll make it a secret. We'll announce. We'll put it on the on our page and discuss what's coming up. Make it exciting. Give something to look forward to. But it'll be a good one.
Yep. All right, man.
Well, hey, listen, everybody out there listening, and Clay, you have a great 4th of July. Believe it or not, it is here among us already. Yes, it is. It's one thing I hate about 4th of July is when it's over. It's like as soon as it's like the summer's gone, and next thing you know, it's fall.
I will have maybe we can do. We'll figure it out. Something about orbs, because I have a video that I'm trying to get a hold of from one of my relatives of an orb floating around in their driveway.
Yeah, that's good. That's interesting. That's like a big thing. A lot of people are seeing those around a lot too. So that's something that's something, that technically falls under the UAP category too. I mean, it's moving around.
Either,
yeah, exactly. So that's interesting too. Yeah, we'll have some good stuff coming up. So make sure don't miss it. Any last closing words, Clay, before we depart?
No, that is basically all I've got. And just keep your eyes on the skies.
Exactly. Have a good one, folks. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.